Raise your hand if you remember the Pocophone F1.
Raise your hand if you loved the Poco F1. Custom ROM.
So for many people, including myself, the Poco F1 wasn't just a device. Introduction and an education on the Indian market. Now in today's episode of Cooking with Mitchell, we're going to talk about whether or not Xiaomi is going to bring the Pocophone F2, the Redmi K30 Pro, or the Xiaomi Mi 10T to the Indian market. Sorry that I'm crying now. Cutting onions and sauteing potatoes. But I remember when the Poco F1 was originally launched. God damn. There was this big thing about why was Xiaomi introducing this phone, and it was specifically because the Indian market has taxes and tariffs and a lot of other regulation that makes it harder to bring phones from out of the country into the country without high tariffs. Little salt, little garlic powder, some traditional Vietnamese grilled meat seasonings, some spicy pepper because spicy pepper. Poco F1 was such a wild success that it allowed Xiaomi to launch the Poco brand in other markets, giving the world a phone with a world-class processor and cheap build quality. 1 year later, and we got the Redmi K20 Pro, a device that was equally aimed directly at OnePlus. Well, I guess in this situation, I played myself. But the Redmi K20 Pro was great. Cooking with chili. Now, a year after the Redmi K20 Pro has been released, the Redmi K30 Pro has been released in China, the Poco F2 Pro has been released globally, and there's no signs of a follow-up for the Redmi K20 Pro within India. And on top of that, we have to figure out the most important thing.
Arms and grips.
We don't know if Xiaomi is having issues with bringing production to India because of the international situation. We don't know if they're going to be bringing a Poco branded device, a Poco F2 to India, or if they're going to be bringing the Redmi K30 Pro to India, or if they could be possibly bringing the Redmi K30 Pro Zoom to India. But right now, for Indian fans of Xiaomi and Redmi, there really isn't a lot to look forward to. Now, I already did a video about how we know there's going to be a Xiaomi Mi 9T, link up here. But these are the options that Xiaomi Redmi has for India. Option 1. Xiaomi doubles down on the Redmi brand like they did with the Redmi K20 Pro, and they launch the Redmi K30 Pro in India. This would be the base variant of the K30 Pro, not the K30 Pro Zoom. Option 2. Xiaomi launches the Poco F2 that we have internationally in India at a really low price point, maybe omits UFS 3.1 for UFS 3.0 storage, and that's the Indian-specific Poco F2 Pro. Option 3. We know that Xiaomi is going to be bringing a Xiaomi Mi 10T to the market because Xiaomi doubled down on their T lineup of devices. Video about that right here. So it's potential that Xiaomi wants to provide the Mi 10T Pro as a budget version or a lower-end version of the Xiaomi Mi 10 that's now in India. A really sneaky option that they could do is bring the new Dimensity 1000 in the Redmi K30 Pro to India, possibly even the Redmi K30 Pro Zoom. And that way they don't have to necessarily adopt 5G, or they can save money on the chipset and either give us a really, really cheap, as in equivalent to $320, $330 Redmi K30 Pro in India with the new MediaTek chipset, which is supposed to be an insanely powerful chipset. And I would love to see MediaTek get like a little bit more credit for all the work that they're doing, because it's a long uphill battle to climb, especially with developers. And as we know, developers, ROMs, customization is a big part of why people love Xiaomi. And that's why we haven't seen very much coming out for the Redmi K20, K30 Pro, Poco F2 Pro, because a lot of great developers are Indian and they don't have the device yet. Really quick, just wanted to tell you guys, we have a new Telegram channel. We've got an Instagram account. Go ahead, check out all the links in the description down below.